Hi everyone, welcome back to the Bay Delta Schism User Guides. I'm Eli Atelovich of the California Department of Water Resources Delta Modeling section. The subject right now is debugging SMS meshing failures, by which I mean failures that cause the application to crash outright or cause the meshing process to halt. Here we have an example of a map that produces just that kind of a meshing failure. In fact, we're going to start with a total crash. ORS 2 meter NS is a mesh in the South Delta. If I turn off some of the scatter data, you can see it's not terribly large. But if I try to generate the mesh for all of the polygons here by going map to 2D mesh, what's going to happen is that the application is just going to flash off like that. So there it went. What we're going to look at is how to fix that. Here we are with the session loaded again, and obviously one of the drags about this is that we don't know where the problem is. So the first thing that you should do if you encounter this kind of a problem is just resort to every coder's sort of backup plan, which is bisection. The idea of bisection is simple but really powerful. Once you find out that your entire work area produces a crash, what you would do is you would cut it approximately in half and find halves that do or don't produce crashes. Then you would take the bad one from that round and cut it in half and look for the bad apple, so to speak, and so forth until you've isolated the problem. Bisection is a very efficient algorithm relative to doing something like nudging along and poking along in the channel. But of course, relative to a classic bisection application, there really isn't a guarantee here that there's only one bad polygon. So you might have to rinse and repeat. To contain this problem from developing and to contain any searching, you should you should grid the entirety of your work area from time to time. So you would select half the map and make it a little bit more clear what's on and what's off. So I've selected the segment from here to here. All the polygons have been selected. I'm going to go map to 2D mesh. And let's see what happens. Okay, well this time the application didn't crash. We got an interpretable message, error meshing polygon 11. So what we're going to do is find polygon 11. So what I'm going to do is go over to the map data menu, go to feature objects, find. I'm going to go to object polygon, type of polygon, put in the ID of 11, and there you go. So this area is the culprit. If we dig in a little bit, we'll find that the polygon has been set to be of type patch, but it doesn't have 4 corners that are delineated as split nodes, and it isn't convex. It's not too common for SMS to crash, but this topology would be very challenging. But I'm going to fix that. I'm going to do that offline. Or rather, I've really, in a way, I've already done it online, and that resulted in a second map. So just to save time, I'm gonna turn off the old map. I'm gonna delete some of the meshes that we've generated by selecting them and pushing delete. And now here we are back on this sort of second stage where now if I grid this area, it's going to produce a reasonably nice and convex representation of the rectangular areas. I've gridded on top of an island. We don't have to do that. You could also set this to gridding type none. So now we can save this and we can ask the question, will it grid now? So let's go to feature objects in the map menu, map to 2D mesh, and let her go. How's it going to do? Uh-oh, we crashed again. I've reinstated the session once again, and now what we know is we worked on everything up until this point, so it's just these polygons that are under suspicion. So bisection, one way that we can do that is to start by going and just taking care of these polygons. And so I'm going to try and mesh them. Okay. They are very skewed, so it's not a mesh that's absolutely ready for production, but that really just implicates this very small number of polygons. I happen to know that this one grids up okay, so let's look and see what would happen here if we try and grid. We get a message, invalid patch, edges of adjacent cells overlap. So what I did here, and I kind of did it offline and already, is I cleaned up that polygon and got to this stage 3. So let's look at this. So one of the points that I want to make here is I'm not trying to win any beauty contests with this. I'm going to go map to 2D mesh. You can see it's skewed. There are uneven numbers of vertices on each side. So probably you would want to divide this into a couple of pieces. I tend to isolate the bends because the straighter sections work okay. I've already eliminated, if you kind of contrast the mesh that I used here with the earlier one, you can see things like these things that blip out. I've eliminated those. You'd have to add a little section of grid to include that title prism. But right now, what I'm interested in is, will the whole thing mesh? And the answer is yes. I hope the session's been helpful for diagnosing reasons for SMS crashes, and also gave a good introduction to the feature objects find tool, which is needed to locate problem polygons. Thanks for joining.